Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Freedom Ticket Walmart. My name's Carrie, and I'm here with David from Cellcord. And today we're going to talk to you about bulk uploads. Now, bulk uploads have historically been quite a challenge for a lot of different people. On Walmart, I think they're a bit easier than the bulk uploads that I've done on Amazon, so that is definitely a plus to them. But there are some things that you want to know so that you can fill them out correctly the first time. So we're going to go ahead and do an in-depth walkthrough so that you know every bit of detail on how to fill these forms out and what they're for. So let's go ahead and get into it.
All right, perfect. Let's do it. Okay, so the first upload we're going to look into is getting your items set up. So when you first get your account, you're only going to have access to your marketplace item setup. So you will have to do the seller fulfilled setup. But once you have WFS access, you will have a WFS setup. Now, we believe once you have an account eligible for WFS, always just go ahead and just set your items up already for WFS. There's no issue with having your items as WFS. You can continue to do seller fulfillment. So it's just suggested just skip any issues with first doing seller fulfilled and then converting it down the line, get it all squared away with that original upload directly as WFS. So
just to clarify, you don't need to have been accepted to WFS in order to upload your first listing with a WFS form, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you actually won't actually be able to have WFS access until you have one listing. So you will need to do one listing either manually or through the seller fulfilled bulk file, and then from there, once you do have WFS, we just suggest doing everything through there. But if you are a seller fulfilled seller, use a seller fulfilled one. So the reason why we want to do the WFS file is because any field that is in the seller fulfilled file is included in the WFS file, but not the other way around. So we're just going to take a look at the WFS files and be able to just, if you want to do a seller fulfilled ones, we'll be reviewing all of the different fields that are required, so you'll know what each one means.
I think I'll kind of clarify that too, is if you plan on utilizing WFS, you might as well just set up all your products as if you are already in WFS, because if you don't and you just do seller fulfilled bulk uploads, then you actually have to go back later and do another upload to convert your items over to WFS. So it's more work for you.
Right.
But if you set it up with WFS in the first place, then it's going to save you time and just get you all set up and ready to go for WFS.
Yeah, there are a few more fields that will take a little bit more time to upload, but it's much more worthwhile than having to do it again down the line. All right, so let's get into it over here. We're gonna go ahead and share the screen. And we're going to begin over here on our items dashboard. And on the top right, we have add items. And we're gonna go to the add items in bulk. Now, it asks you, do you want to do seller fulfilled or Walmart fulfilled? We'll go ahead and click on Walmart fulfilled, and that's what we're going to use. But before that, I just wanna make a note with seller fulfilled, you do actually have the option to do a quick match. So this might be a reason to do seller fulfilled, is you could quickly match your items using UPC. So because Walmart uses UPC across the board, if you are, let's say, a reseller, you could just put in a whole list of UPCs that you are working on, go ahead and upload that, and it will automatically determine which items you are selling.
So resellers or wholesalers or people like that.
Pretty much. Anyone selling items that you would already expect on the marketplace.
Okay.
Even brand owners occasionally will have someone else selling their products. So let's go ahead to Walmart fulfilled, and the way this is done is by category. So you go ahead and you click on this drop down over here, and you can select up to 7 categories. I don't think there's any reason why you would need to have multiple categories on one file. It's just going to split it up into multiple tabs. It's not like it converts it into one big Excel sheet. It's just going to have one tab for each category. So we're actually going to be uploading our Helium 10 microphone over here that we have here on Amazon. So we're going to upload it to Walmart. And this is going to be a electronics accessories. That's what category this is. Now, categories on Walmart, we did discuss this in another video. There are great guides by Walmart detailing exactly what is included in each category. So just after our research, electronic accessories is the correct category for this. So you would go ahead and select that, apply, and go ahead and download that file. So we've already downloaded this file and have it prepared over here. And here is this Excel file. So we're going to go through the different columns over here, what they mean, and how you should fill them out. So as you can see, there are different color coordinated sections over here, which show you what's required. As you can see on top over here is the required for WFS, required for compliance, and these are like kind of the general outline sections, conditional required for, let's say, hazardous materials, and then you have just one more required section, and here you have all your recommended, and at the end you have just some other information. So it's broken down into a few sections on top. And then below that, you'll see even subcategories like identifiers, restrictions, and then you have the actual fields over here below. And then beneath each field, Walmart does have a nice little guide over here to just explain what each one means, but we're going to just go ahead and discuss this ourselves as well. So the first one we have over here is the SKU. This is an internal SKU that you're going to have. It's not going to display on your listings. It's just something that you want to use to keep track of your SKU internally. It is used on many different reports. It's used to do a lot of different things on Walmart, so make sure this is something that you have fairly consistent, you're able to keep track of. If you are using SKUs, your same product across multiple marketplaces, just make sure to have that information accurate. All right, the next thing we have over here is the product ID, and this is how Walmart is going to identify this product. Walmart does give you a few different options here. You have the EAN, GTIN, ISBN, and UPC. 3 out of 4 of them are the same thing, just with different prefixes, how many digits it is. I always suggest just going ahead and using the GTIN. It's used across the most reports, and it's just your UPC with a few more leading zeros. It needs to be a total of 14 characters over here. So as you can see over here, I have 2 leading zeros and then a third leading zero, and that is the rest of the UPC over here. So this is very, very important that this is accurate, and we always suggest using GS1 compliant UPC codes, as Walmart uses the UPC as the base of the item, and it does become a bit of a pain if you do want to change it. If you do want to update the product ID, you will actually have to, you will lose all your ranking, you're going to lose all your reviews. So it's really suggested to make sure that you have that accurate from the get-go. The SKU, although it is not, we don't recommend changing it, you are able to actually update it without losing all your ranking and review. But we do just suggest making sure it's accurate from the bat. You don't want to have to change it down the line, because there's issues with you can't use the same SKU twice. So if you do need to do a SKU switch, it just becomes a mess. So make sure you have everything accurate from the beginning. Next thing over here, we have just some basic information. We have the product name. This is the title that will display on Walmart for your listing. We have the brand. This will display right above your title, just tell you who makes this item. So this is going to be, as you can see here, Helium 10 microphone for podcasting recording. This is not necessarily the best title optimized for Walmart. It's just something that we're putting in for now, and then we'll optimize it after, as you can see through the growth opportunity videos. And then we have over here the brand. This should be good. You could change this information. Everything aside from like the initial SKU and product ID, you could always change down the line, either manually or through using maintenance files, which we will be discussing later in this video. Next, we have the price over here. Very important, don't have it as $1. It will throw off Walmart, and it's going to say you cannot submit it as such. Whenever let's say you're copying your data from another spreadsheet and pasting it into this one, don't go ahead and just paste with the formatting. Always make sure you Control-Alt-V and you paste as text, or you can just go ahead and right-click over here, paste special, and paste as text. You don't want to ever go ahead and paste your formatting from somewhere else, because these sheets are very delicate. If you go ahead and just even mess up a little field over here, I mean, I've spent a lot of time working on just one spreadsheet, and then I go ahead and upload it, and it's just some random error, something obscure. It's not formatted correctly, and I don't know what's wrong. So I'd have to go ahead and download a new file and paste the values in from there. So just really be careful. As you can see, a lot of these fields have drop downs. So if you overwrite it, it will take away the drop down, which could cause some issues.
I actually had that issue. Remember when I messaged you about it? It was the formatting that was the problem, and so that is definitely really important.
Yeah, that's I think one of the first errors people typically come across. There's a lot going on. You can't just go ahead and copy this to a new sheet and try it out. As you can see, if you go ahead to like the different like tabs over here, there are like some hidden pages over here that Walmart does have, that they're just doing a lot of just a lot of different stuff going on in the background. So just stick to their sheets and just make sure to keep it up. All right, the next thing over here, this is exclusively for WFS, is the restriction type. So some items are restricted, whether it be in certain zip codes or certain states. Most of your products are going to be fine, so you can select none. But if you do have, you can just go ahead and select either commercial or legal for sale, and you can put in the state code or the zip code where that is restricted. The next thing we have over here, these are compliance. Let's go ahead and do this. Is we have we have some compliance questions over here. So contains electronic components. So this means does it contain a circuit board or electronic wiring? This indeed does. It is a electric microphone. So we're going to do yes. Contain battery type. Now, some of these are conditional, as you can see here from this next section. So if you do have the battery type, this product does not have a battery, but if it does, something that is, let's say, either a portable battery, a totally rechargeable battery, or if it just comes with like your standard, let's say AA batteries, you go ahead and select the battery type, and you will be required to fill out some information over here. And the third one over here is the contains chemical, aerosol, or pesticide. Simple yes or no question. For that, in this case, it does not. And here's what, like we were discussing, is the hazmat information. So if you do have, let's say, something that has a safety data sheet, let's say you're selling some sort of product that is just contains some sort of chemicals, you do want to have a link to that URL. And if there are batteries, you do want to include information about that. Is the battery included? What is the size of the battery model, form factor, all this information, all battery related, which we are not going to have for our products. Something to note is when you do have a hazmat item, especially when you're uploading to WFS, it will be subject to review. So I know in the beginning of the video we discussed wanting to set up all your items as WFS. Sometimes you might be selling in a category that WFS doesn't accept, or you might have really big products. So in that case, you might just want to go ahead and set up as seller fulfilled so you don't have any issues from WFS not allowing your item to be set up correctly. Okay, the next set of requirements over here are just some information regarding the listing. We have the site description. So I just took some of this from Walmart. Again, this is not necessarily Walmart compliant or Walmart optimized. It's just some data over here so that we can get this listing set up properly. Next, we have the Prop 65 warning. You want to make sure this is good. If you're not sure about this, definitely do some research, because if you are supposed to have a Prop 65 warning and you don't, you are going to be responsible. Someone could sue you for this, and you are actually going to be responsible to cover Walmart's legal bills as well. So make sure this is all done accurately, and if there is no warning, just go ahead and hit none. Next thing, we have the manufacturer name. So typically, if you are manufacturing a product, it will be the same as your brand. But if you do have, let's say, a different manufacturer, you can go ahead and enter that information over here. All right, and next section we have over here is images. So as you can see, only a single image is required for this, and the rest are just recommended. Now, the image URL is actually quite important to be in a specific format. Walmart, as discussed, does have guides that go through this full process, through the bulk upload process, and I will explain all these different sections and what each one needs to be. For images, it has to be a specific type of URL, cannot be dynamic or changing. It has to link directly to must be a direct URL. You can see some more information about that. Certain websites for image hosting do work, certain ones do not. We've actually found, I personally like to use AWS's S3. I found that works really well. Even Dropbox links do not work for this. So you do want to make sure that you have your images nicely set up. And let's say you do have your images all stored locally, you could just go ahead and have one image hosted. You could use one of these easy image hosting services like IMGBB or just Imgur, any of these places where you could just simply upload it and get a direct link, and you can just go ahead and do that main image and do the other ones manually. But if you do have, let's say, a little bit more of an intricate system, I suggest trying enrolling in one of these image hosting services that work, and having a really good image structure will make things really efficient for your image uploads. Okay, so that is all the required fields. That's it, and then we have a few more at the end, and we also have this trade item configuration. However, there's a lot more to the listing than just those few components. So let's go ahead and talk about some of these recommended attributes, and as well as just some other points regarding the sheet. So something you'll notice here, this additional image URL, you do see this little parentheses with a plus in it. What this means is that this field, you could add in more of this specific field. Now, as you can see here, you have URL 1, 2. When I first downloaded the sheet, it only had additional image URL, additional URL image 1. I added 2, 3, 4, and 5 over here. And the way to add, don't go ahead and just click on this and then insert one right, insert. That's not the way to do that. If you do that, it's going to just cause problems.
The formatting will be bad, right?
The formatting is going to be bad. Make sure not to do that. I'm not sure why, but just follow the instructions here. The way to properly do this is select the column next to the one you want to add one to. So let's say you want to add another image. Right click over here, go to insert and select entire column. Okay. And that's the way to do it. Now you want to just go ahead and drag this information over. You can use Control R to move it into there. Go ahead and get both the top and the bottom. And you could go ahead and rename that to additional image URL number 5. Now we don't have one, so you can leave it blank. It's honestly fine. Or you could just go ahead and delete that entire column. The next section we have over here is the key features. As you can see, this is also a section that allows you to add columns. When I do the copy optimization, I will go ahead and fill out this information. For now, I'm going to go ahead and leave it blank.
And the key features look like bullet points on the actual listing.
Right,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
And they're only 80 characters long is what they want you to have them at.
Yeah. So they will have, all right. They're also you could always just go ahead and check out these little guides beneath each one just to give a little bit of information about it. Next thing we have over here is the manufacturer part number. So if you do have an MPN, go ahead and fill that out. We want to get that content discoverability score high, so the more attributes, the better. But this is all discussed in other videos as well. I'm just going to go ahead and fill out some basic information that I have. Count per pack, this is 1 item. Total count is 1. Number of pieces is 1. Next you have the MSRP if you have that information. Color, in this case, is black. And as you can see here, it does have a little plus if you do have multiple colors. Not variations, but if it does have multiple colors on the actual product. Color category, this is a closed list from Walmart, so that in addition to just the color of the product, you do also have the color category, so that with their filtering systems, you could go ahead and select exactly which color, because they're not going to, let's say you have some cool naming structure, obsidian black or something like that. Walmart's not going to have that as one of their filters, so make sure to have that color category filled out as well. All right. Next, we have over here the size information, some of the compatible devices, compatible models, all this information over here. There's a lot of attributes across Walmart. There's over 1,000 attributes across all fields, so it's there's a lot to go through over here. Definitely worthwhile to check it out. Make sure that you have all the relevant information for your listing. All right, the next section we have over here is variation. So although this product is not a variation, this is the best way to set up variations. We're going to go ahead and just discuss how that is done. So the first thing you have is the variant group ID. And this is a internal number or just alphanumeric set of characters that groups your variations together. So let's say you have a shirt that you're selling and you have it in blue, red, and white. So you want to have, let's say, it's called shirt 1 in your system. So you have shirt 1, shirt 1, shirt 1, and that's going to be your group ID. So whatever items you want to put together, put the group ID. If your item is not in a variation, do not fill this out, or else your listing will show as if it's in a variation with just one item and it doesn't look good. If your item was ever in a variation, you can never take it out of a variation. Even if it's a standalone item, it will look as if it's always as part of one variation. So just try to have this set up correctly. The variations is something Walmart is constantly trying to work on and improve, but as of today, this is the limitations that you have to work within. So with variant group IDs, this information is not stored by Walmart. So if you ever want to know, hey, what variant group ID did I use? They're not going to be able to tell you that information. Even if you go ahead and download this, it's going to be blank. Make sure to track this internally so that if you do ever want to add an item to your variation, you can just go ahead and add in the variant group ID and it'll add it. Otherwise, you'll have to go ahead and add all the products again with that create a new variant group ID, which is fine. It's not so difficult through a maintenance file, but just it's important to track this very easily is so that you don't run into these issues in the future. The next step over here is the variant attribute names. And as you can see, there's a plus sign over here because Walmart does allow you to have multiple different variations. You could have on a product, you could have size and color as two different variations. So the variant attribute name is what is the variant, and every single different category has its own list of variant attributes that you're allowed to do, because obviously cable length is not so applicable when it comes to clothing. So typical color, count, count per pack, and size, those are very standard, but you will see obviously just different ones per each different category. And obviously, very importantly, if you do select, let's say, color, make sure your color field is filled out, or else this is not going to work properly. Okay, and you would need to do this. Let's say you have 3 different items here. Let's say you have, I'll delete this because it's not relevant. But let's say I have shirt 1 here, shirt 1 and shirt 1, and let's say it's different colors. You want to make sure that, let's say they're all filled out on the color as the different ones. The next thing you have over here is primary variant, and primary variant plays a very vital role with Walmart, because this is actually what, when you're searching for your product, this is the one that's going to display. So let's say you have a shirt. Again, let's stick with the shirt example, red, white, and blue. If you search for just shirt and red is your main variation, it will show you the red variation under shirt for this item. There is, however, a way to, let's say, get around this. If you do type in shirt blue, it will show the blue variation as the main item. But let's say other variations where it's not necessarily a color variation, and you want to make sure that you are, even if it's, let's say, like similar products, you want to make sure that you're showing the best product as your main item. Because let's say you have a really cool variation and your main item is not so cool, someone might not even ever get to see that variation if they're just displaying that the main one. So it's very important that you pick your primary variant correctly. Additionally, advertising on Walmart can only be done on the primary variant. So you want to make sure that even on a stronger level, you want to make sure that the primary variant is set up correctly. Now, you could always just go ahead and leave it blank, and I believe Walmart will pick the first item on the list as a primary variant. Otherwise, if you want to specifically indicate this one is a primary variant, you go ahead and hit yes. You could select no on these, but obviously very self-explanatory. It will figure it out on its own. So this is a recommended. It's you don't have to fill it out, but I suggest doing it. The next section we have over here is for swatch images. So sometimes you have, let's say, especially with like a color variation, this is very typical. You want to actually have a little swatch on the listing that will display, so that this will actually show up in 2 different spots. If you're searching for, let's say, shirt, you'll see on the listing, it'll be 3 little circles. It'll show you like a red, blue, and white. And this way it just kind of gives you an indication for what you can expect when you're viewing the product, the different colors. And also, when you're actually viewing the listing, you will see on the little buy box over there, you will have the different colors over there. Rather than just stating blue, red, and white, you could actually just see the blue color, white, and red. So you could have, let's say you want to see what shade of the color it is, or you could even actually show not just a, let's say, a circle. You could actually show a full size image of the product. Now, that typically depends on what the variant attribute is. This is actually something Walmart has been changing. So like you'll see sometimes color and actual color, and sometimes it'll just show you a little circle, and sometimes it'll show you a full-size picture. So it does depend on the variant attribute that you select, how it will display on the listing. So play around with it.
What are some of the attributes that are?
Yeah, sure. So it's going to be the same as the variant attribute names for the category. So in this case, let's say I want to by color, and then you just also want to go ahead and put in that URL to that image. And it does have different resolution than, let's say, standard image. So you do want to make sure it comes through correctly, because sometimes you'll put in a picture that's way too big, and Walmart will actually crop the image and just take a certain part of it that you don't want. So make sure that even when you do go ahead and upload it, just go ahead and take a look at your listing, make sure it looks good. All right, yeah, let's go ahead and delete this information. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so the next and final section over here we have is just some shipping information about the product. We have ship in original packaging. So this is if you want to, like, can the product be shipped? Is it possible? It's not asking you if it will be. It's just, is it possible to ship this product in the original packaging? This means in the box that the product comes in. So this microphone comes in a box. Technically, you could probably ship it in that if you seal it, but this is also an optional field. You don't have to fill it out.
A lot of things like TVs might, or big electronics would probably be shipped in the box, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's a great call. So it's just a closed list, yes or no. Fill it out at your discretion. These 2 are actually very important. You do want to fill these 2 out. The site start date and the site end date. So this determines when your product will be live on the marketplace and for how long it will be live on the marketplace. On Walmart, there's 3 different statuses for your listing. There is live, which means the product is obviously actively running. stage, and retired. Occasionally you'll see a status called archived. It's just an archived version of retired. So what this has to do, all these have to do with your start and end date. So start date means when the listing should go live. So let's say you're preparing a launch and you're going to be launching your products next week. So you go ahead and you put your launch date as, let's say, 2/28. So that next week on whatever day of the week it is, it will, I guess Monday, it will launch those products and it'll go live on that date. And until that, it will show in your listing as stage status. An end date is, let's say you have a product that you want to end at a certain point. You just go ahead and put the end date as, let's say you want to be done with this product next week, but at 2/28, after 2/28, that listing will not be retired. So you can even retire current items. Let's say you have an item that's no longer working, just go ahead and put an end date that's in the past. That's all that they require. And you can have the start date and end date being the same day. So let's say you do want to retire an item, put the start date as, let's say, 2 days ago, and the end date as 1 day ago, and then it will show it as retired. Now there is a specific format for this. You do want to make sure you're formatting. This is the only one that's kind of a little bit not standard. So the formatting is year dash month dash date. So just let's say 2022-01-01. Let's say you want to have the let's do an end date for this would be, let's say, 2050-01-01. You can't go too far in the future. Not sure the exact dates, but if we're still around 30 years, we should be good. All right, must ship alone. It says if your product needs to be shipped alone, standard is going to be no. And then you have over here SKU update. So this is, if we discussed this in the beginning, if you do want to perform a SKU update on your listing, you do have the ability to do that from here. Just go ahead and hit yes, and that will update the current UPC. The way to do a product ID update is only through the seller fulfilled file. So that is actually one other reason why you might want to use a self-fulfilled file. If you do want to do a product ID update, which is updating the UPC, that needs to be done through the self-fulfilled file. And the reason for that is because if your product is WFS eligible, even if you've never sent it in, you cannot do a product ID update. It doesn't allow you to. You cannot update the UPC of any WFS products. Okay. So because they do receiving by UPC, so you are subjecting yourself to having some receiving issues, and they don't allow it. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it is what the rules are. All right. Once this has all been done, you want to also make sure that your trade item configurations are set up. So something to note, when you are doing, let's say, multiple categories that let's say you selected and downloaded, you will have one tab for each of your categories. So as you can see, this is called electronics accessories. The trade item configurations, however, is just one tab for all of your SKUs. And it's just a little bit of information about your products for your WFS, because they're going to be warehousing this product. They need to know a little bit more about it. So the first thing we're going to start here is with the SKU. So we're just going to go ahead and copy this information from here. And even though it's on the same spreadsheet, I'm always just going to go ahead and paste values only. The next thing we have is the country of origin. So this is a closed list, so just don't go ahead and type in what you want. Go ahead and select the correct country of origin. Next thing we have over here is some of the UPC information. So we're going to go ahead and copy this. And orderable GTIN is typically going to be your same. Each GTIN is probably going to be the same as well. So you only have to fill up until column K. I found the best way to do is just keep this information the same, orderable GTIN, each GTIN, keep it the same, and now you need to have your DIMs and weights of the product. It is required, and if you don't have it, just go ahead and fill in some temporary information. Obviously, we always suggest filling in accurate information as possible, but if you don't have that information, fill in what you can. In the end of the day, WFS does measure every single product that comes in. They use Cubiscan to see what the correct size is. And there's actually a report you could download. The storage report will show you what the DIMs are that they have. So you could always just go ahead and update your own system if you are lazy with getting your DIMs. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in just some standard information here. And that is it. It should be good to go. Let's go ahead and save this file, and we're going to go ahead and upload it. Okay, so once you're done with your file, go ahead and either drag and drop or click and get the selected file, and go ahead and hit submit. If there's successful upload, it will show you that little pop-up over there, and you can always copy your feed ID if that's something you want to keep track of. And you could just go ahead and view an activity feed or even upload another file. If there is an error, it will show you a little red exclamation point and it'll automatically download a file for you. That's not to say that this file will go through successfully. Those are for some immediate errors that Walmart can detect within, let's say, the formatting or just some general parts of the sheet. If something isn't filled out, it will detect it over there. However, there are other issues that will be detected later that will come up that is not something that will automatically be detected on this first check. So just always make sure to check your activity feed to see if there are any issues. So let's go ahead to the activity feed now. You can also just go ahead and select it from over here. And as you can see over here, it's an item setup for WFS, and it is currently in the pending status. So it's submitted and it's currently pending. So we could go ahead and wait for this to go through. Item setup could take up to, I believe, 4 hours just to be ingested. Sometimes it's really quick, sometimes it's really slow. Also has to do with normally how many listings you have. This shouldn't take too long from what I expect within 5 minutes it should probably be good. As you can see, it's already showing processed. Let's go ahead and see if it actually went through. So let's go to items over here. Just have it load, and it is not yet currently showing here. Although it's not showing here, it doesn't necessarily mean that the item was not yet set up. This page can be glitchy at times, and you can go ahead and refresh and see maybe occasionally it will show up, occasionally it won't show up. It's really on and off with things. As you can see, perfectly listed here on top. Seller fulfilled, but WFS eligible. It's got the main image over there. It's got our SKU. It has all this information. It's even got our item page. So as you can see, we did list in the past, so we can go ahead and actually view this product on Walmart. Okay, it does have the link to the product, but this could sometimes take just a little bit longer for it to go through. As you can see, it's currently showing page not found. Even if we add inventory, it just sometimes takes a little bit. Walmart, this is a brand new item. Walmart's still figuring itself out and getting this item processed. So just give it a little bit before you go ahead and check that Walmart link. However, you will have from here the item ID, which is something that is useful just to have for Walmart. If your item, let's say, is hazmat and does have to go through a pending status, you're like, hey, what's going on? I submitted it, why didn't it go through? Check out the WFS items on hold page. Here is where you'll see your items that are currently pending upload to Walmart. It can take a few days for them to go ahead, up to 3 business days for them to review it. And if it's taking longer than that, always just go ahead and contact partner support to get that taken care of. You can always go out to your activity feed, and in here, you will see if there's any errors. You'll see a little eyeball over here. You can click on that and it'll show you what's wrong. And you can always just go ahead and download a report. And the reports are always very useful. I'll show you an example over here. This is an error report we're having when we're first attempting to upload the sheet. It shows over here the number of errors, what the description was. So there's an issue with this GTN over here. It seems to be just the GTN was just incorrect over here, and that's what they're throwing out. Sometimes they'll even highlight the field and put a little comment on it. It's a really nice system for how they do things over here, and it's throughout the sheet. It'll just show you different errors across the board. As you can see, there's also an issue over here. Same idea. It just shows you what's wrong. So Walmart's really good with telling you what you did wrong, and it shows you really easy to correct. Always go ahead and hit the guides. Let's actually go ahead and pull up the guide for this, so we can just kind of show you some the different information that they'll have in there. We talked about the images before. It goes through that. So let's go ahead in the guide section. We go to, I think they call it the bulk 4.0. Here, bulk upload. Just go ahead and search, and it's a pretty good algorithm. So add items in bulk using the full item spec. So that's what this one is here. And they do have just a little reference on top for how this works. And with some more information here, we could see the variant group IDs like we discussed, some of the attributes, images. They do have this other page over here specifically for image guidelines, which is what we were talking about, the different URLs, what works, what doesn't work. And here you can see the full detail of that, just how the images have to be, their resolutions. And then you do also have over here below is all the URL requirements, is what we're talking about, what works, what doesn't work. They give you a few examples of what works, and Dropbox URLs are not currently supported, as we mentioned, and Amazon is good. So we actually, for this listing, what we did is we actually went to Amazon, we right-clicked on the image, and so I'm sorry, if you go ahead and click on the image, you get this little pop-up, right, to zoom in, right-click, copy image address, And if we actually, this is what we used on our sheet, and it worked beautifully. As you can see, the listing did get all the images. Even though it's not in the standard formatting, Walmart will go ahead and resize it as they need to make the listing good. Let's see if it's had time to process. No, it's still not. All right, so it's fine. There's nothing wrong with this listing. You just have to give it some time for it to go through. And that's how you go ahead and set up your items.
So there are some other uploads that you can do. So the first one that we just showed you here is just how to upload your first listing. And so we do recommend utilizing that, especially if you have variations. It makes the process so much easier, and you really can't do it any other way for the most part. So that was definitely a really good explanation on how to do that in detail. So there's a few other files we want to go through. The inventory files. Can we take a look at that and see how we can do the inventory files?
For sure. So all the other updates that you could do in bulk, well, most of them are found under the update items in bulk over here. You also have the option to convert items in bulk to WFS. But the good thing is, once your items are ingested with Walmart, you could do most of your updates by using a GTIN match. So you don't have to go ahead and always fill in all your information. You can just go ahead and put the GTIN, and it will download and export all the information that Walmart has, and you just have to fill in the missing attributes. So let's go ahead to the update items in bulk. And you do see both sections over here, and this is mostly for like maintenance files, but we're going to be looking at by template. So over here, you do see the different template options that they're offering you here. You have an inventory template, very straightforward. Let's go ahead and download the file real quick, very easy. It's just the SKU and the quantity. So you want to make sure your SKU is accurate, SKU and quantity where it is. You do have a price update, and this is, you can not only do the price, but you could also do, let's say if you want to run a promotion on your items. And this is actually, as you can see, XLSM, this is a macro enabled worksheet, because they need to make sure that you do see here, if you're seeing this matches, you need to first enable editing, and you have to enable macros as well. So you do have to kind of follow the instructions here on how to enable macros and enable content, and there we go, it's gone. And very detailed over here, but
click on the offer tab is where you need to go, right?
Yeah, the offer tab, exactly. That's where you do go ahead and fill out this information, the SKU, the price. If you are running promotion, you go ahead and you could either put in what type, either active or delete all, promo price if it's a clearance, reduced, or base, what type of promo it is, and it'll actually show on the listing like that.
So will it show? It'll show reduced or clearance, but does it show the other? What was the other option?
Base. Yeah.
Does it show that too?
No, just
so
it'll just show the reduced and the clearance options, where it is, if it's only in the cart or at checkout. So you can leave this one blank actually. Promo start date, end date. There are some restrictions over here. You cannot start it in the past. It has to be, I think, a few hours in the future, and it cannot be for more than, I believe, 1 year. If you do want to just knock out a whole bunch in a row, you could just, as you can see, you could do multiple promotions. The sheet gives you 5, so that's 5 years if you want to just take it, knock it all out in one fell swoop.
Something I think we should talk about too is that when you do have the clearance badge or the reduced price badge on there, people can actually sort for clearance or reduced items, and a lot of people do. So it'll potentially give you more visibility. Is that
100%? Yeah, it's a great way to really boost your products if you want to just put them on their clearance tag. The one slight detriment is some customers might be like, hey, is something wrong with this product? But I mean, you could easily clarify that through customer message. But most of the time, we've only seen good results from that. Some little tips and tricks to better convert. And then when you just go ahead and save this file, it will do some validation over here. So you'll see like a little check mark or an X, and I'll show you what your errors are. So this is also a very delicate sheet. Make sure that you're not pasting anything here too wild. Just kind of try to keep within the rules and just keep trying with it, and it should go through. All right, the next thing we have over here is lag time, and this is for shipping. By default, you have either 0 or 1 day lag time. It just means how much time you need to prepare your item to ship. And if you have more than 1 day, you can actually request a lag time exemption. You could go above 2 days and above. But you have to actually request that from Walmart. And then we have return rules. So we did discuss in another video returns and how you have that all set up. So you can just go ahead and download return rules, take a look at how to do this upload. You have the definitions over here. It just gives you a little bit of information about each section, how it works. It gives you a nice example sheet filled out, and then you can just go ahead and fill in your information yourself. If you want to set up keep it rules, returns restricted, restrict the reason, and return center where you want it to go to. So this is if you want to, let's say, have different returns going to different locations, you just go ahead and fill in that information over here. And then the final one is shipping template SKU mapping. Now, I've had issues with this sheet a lot. I haven't had the easiest time. I'm not sure what it is, why this one is having so many issues with getting it through. It might just be something on my side. But when you go ahead and just set this up, you put in your SKU, your shipping template ID, and your fulfillment center ID. Both these are available in your seller center. If you want to go ahead and see that, just go ahead and click this. It will pop it up. Just giving me a little warning here. It'll pop it up for you in your Walmart with that data. And then you can either add or remove. It could be, while I was experiencing issues, I was trying to change shipping templates. You might need to first remove it and then add it. But even so, I believe I was still having some issues with it. Go ahead and play around with it because it's definitely very vital. So it's very straightforward. If you get it to work, great. I've had it work. I've had it not work. So just keep playing around with it. It's open up a case with Walmart, submit it to them. Hey, why is this not working? And they'll always make sure that it gets done in the end. And so once you go ahead and do that, you could just download any of these files, go ahead and select the file, and then you select what type of update it is. So most of these will go through, you could go ahead, if you're doing inventory, it'll ask you for which fulfillment center you're doing. If you're doing price and promo, it'll ask you if it's a price update only, or if it's a promotional price update. Lag time, return rules, and shipping templates are all straightforward. So
very good.
That's all that.
Awesome. Right. So I think this is really, really helpful because I think a lot of people struggle with how to upload these bulk files, and especially just knowing that price little trick there, adding in maybe a reduced or clearance tag on there could help you get some more visibility, especially at the beginning. So definitely pay attention to that part and utilize that as well. I think that's pretty much it for this video. I know it was a lot of details and information, but this is a great video to reference while you're actually doing these uploads because it's very, very helpful to have kind of a reference on how to upload these.